Good morning, beautiful.
Good
How you
morning.
doing today?
Are you talking to me?
Oh, yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
doing fantastic. How are you doing? I'm not going to call you beautiful.
Oh, I'm 35, man. Come on, just trying to make it look sexy out here.
Happy belated birthday,
That's
Steven.
all I wanted. I wanted the plug.
You got to fish for those compliments.
If you
Gotta fish
guys
for
haven't
it.
figured it out at this point, this podcast is about me. The world revolves around me. That's how I like it. If you haven't got the memo yet, consider yourself informed.
And that would be okay if it wasn't for the fact that you already have a show called the Steven Corson Show. That's all about you. So this is the Make More Money Show.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Unfortunately, I'm going to be bringing guests on there soon, so then I have to make it a little bit about them, which is annoying, but, whatever.
So, yeah, there you go. So here's Steven. Here's the world revolving around Steven. So happy birthday, Steven.
Ethnocentrism, baby.
There you go. Welcome to middle age.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we're excited about it. Nothing like ringing in your birthday with not only your age going up, but inflation going up as well.
Hey, everything goes up. Stocks go up too. Wait, no, that did not happen.
Come on, you have to admit, we don't plan this, guys. Like, I just tied my birthday into inflation as a transition. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
For a natural conversation segue.
It's a thing, yeah. And you know what? Let's tie a third one. How's your waistline going? Is that going up too?
Hey, you know what? Somebody gave me this bit of advice. They said, after college, buy a pair of jeans, and it doesn't matter if you wear them anymore. Keep that pair of jeans and put them on at least once a year. It doesn't matter if they're in style or not, just so you can know, okay, I can still fit in the same pair of jeans. I have a pair of jeans I've had for about 8 years. Not really in style anymore. No, the holes that are now in them are very natural. No,
there you go.
To all the dads out there, I didn't pay extra for them, but I can still barely squeeze in. So we're hanging in there.
Nice.
32 waist size.
Yeah, I've still got my Gencos from middle school or high school. I can't even remember when I wore those.
Great.
Yeah. Now, and I do not have those. I go through jeans too often.
Did you rock the Van shoes? Remember the Van shoes?
No. I as we will talk
like
about
everybody
later,
had
I
a
was a
skater
child.
phase.
I was an immigrant child, so we could not have. I think I had Dans or Tans.
Tans.
They were the nice fake Vans.
Toms wasn't a thing yet.
No, Toms wasn't.
Tans was the original Toms.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Or actually, no, I think it was a Benz. It's Benz. Hey, Marlon, you got the Vans? I was like, yeah, I got the Vans. They're great. They're freaking awesome.
And there you go. Hey, fun thing to notice, when he talks in Spanish, his pitch goes higher.
Well, that's a given. It's,
we found this video that talked about it. It's like, notice that for all the Spanish speakers out there who are bilingual, if you speak other languages too, when you talk in Spanish, did your voice go up a little bit higher? So,
yeah.
It's fun.
And I didn't believe it until I watched it. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm speaking English. Y ahora estoy hablando español. And then pitch goes up higher. It's amazing.
I freaking love it.
How about we talk about making some money?
Hey, yeah, I transitioned to the CPI data for you. You're the one that didn't get there. Yeah. And here we go. If we had an intro, that's probably where we would cut this off and do it, but we don't have one.
Yeah.
All right, so getting right into it, we'll start with the CPI data. Went up. We were hanging out in the 8s. We'd hope we'd stay in the 8s. We'd actually hope we were going to go lower, but we didn't think that was realistic. We hit 9.1.
Yeah, so congratulations. Happy birthday. And new all-time high. Well, in the last 4 decades, so highest in 41 years.
It's going to become a cluster F. Yeah. Okay, so
we are making America great again.
I do. Okay. We are super sarcastic when we say anything positive about a politician. I am actually, I think for the first time in the history of this podcast, going to say one positive thing that I am serious about a politician. Okay.
I'm bracing for this one.
Senator, oh my gosh, am I going brain dead here? I don't even know his name that well. Is it Manchin? Or did he inform Manchin?
I don't know.
Crap. I forgot who it is. See, I can't even remember the name. This is how not serious I take him. Anyway, to the senator out there, if it was Senator Manchin or if he told Senator Manchin about it, basically he came out and said, I will not be voting for any new spending. Okay, I got it right here.
Manchin says he won't support new climate spending.
He won't. Pretty much he said, I'm not going to, any additional taxes, any additional spending, I will hold the line and I will not vote for it, which is huge because the Democrats can do it. They can force it through. They have the majority up until November. Then we'll see what happens. But the fact that he is holding his ground, saying, guys, we can't keep printing money so you guys can buy favor through whatever, bullcrap initiatives that you have. It's like inflation is a huge deal. We need to take this seriously. I will hold the line and nothing's going to get through on my watch. I want to officially, I don't know anything about Joe Manchin, but I officially want to say kudos to you, sir, for actually giving a damn about everybody else. This impacts Republicans, independents, socialists, Nazis live in America. It affects us all.
I'm going to jump in and do something I never do and is completely disagree. Because
really,
if I read, well, again, sarcasm. If I read the rest of that statement is he won't support new climate spending or tax hikes on the wealthy. So his bigger issue is he doesn't want to increase taxes on the wealthy.
But he was the same guy. He was the same guy that stopped the expansion of the Build Back Better plan.
Correct.
So this is the second time that he's done this. That's why I'm giving him credit where it's due.
Because
he could toe the party line, get a lot of clout, but screw over the rest of the American people by letting us print more money.
Correct. And I think that's good. But I think the secondary issue there is the not increasing taxes on the wealthy, which, I mean, that's going to go to a whole political thing.
I got to read that a little bit more. That is a headline. Whatever it is.
And it's a reputable headline from a very credible source.
Okay.
Sarcasm.
Well, if it is that, then maybe I take it back a little bit. But in general, the point is this. If he's holding any additional spending back, anything like that, thank you, Manchin. We need more like you. Like I said, I don't know anything else about his politics. I don't
even know his name.
I couldn't even remember his name. So it's
technically the third. Senator Joe Manchin the third.
Oh, the third. Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go. So, like I said, that's all I know about him. If you're like, dude, this guy is like one of the worst people ever. He's a complete socialist. He loves Putin, whatever. I don't know anything else about him. All right. I'm just saying that one thing. I'm grateful he did it. Yeah. Moving on. Okay. Moving on. The reason that's a big deal is because with the CPI data ringing in at a glaring 9.1. And I do think you heard it here before the report ever came out. We talked about it. We thought the CPI data was going to go up.
Absolutely.
So hey guys, guess what? Called it. Now the Feds,
I think I specifically said 9 point. I did not.
I think we both agreed. A very good chance we're going to hit 9s.
Yes.
So the Fed's big announcement is coming in 2 weeks. Again, why do we talk so much about the Fed? Because they're taking so much unprecedented action to raise interest rates and fight inflation because we have no other avenue to do it. That is almost guaranteed to drive us. Well, it's almost guaranteed to have driven us into the recession we are probably in, but won't be able to officially recognize for another month or two when the report comes out.
When the official report comes out that we have been in a recession.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. So anyway, that's why it's a big deal. Are we in a recession? I'm putting my money on it. But
and the expectation is that in that Fed announcement, they're going to now announce that they're going to raise rates or hike rates by 100 basis points, which is a huge jump from.
I heard they're even whispering about $1.25 on that.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
They haven't taken anything off the table.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Again, they haven't done much to curb inflation, so the 75 basis points is not doing enough. So I think even in the market, everyone's saying that it's being priced into the current stock market. So it's not going to drive the market down more unless they do something even more drastic. If they do 100 basis points, you're probably going to see some sideways movement. If they go any higher, you're probably going to see some downward.
Do you really think that if they do 100, the market's not going to drop more?
No, I think right now it's priced in.
Really? Yeah. I feel like 75 points is priced in, but I think if you see 100, you're going to see that fear greed index, drop again.
Yeah,
more to the fear side.
Right now,
I think you'll see another
sell-off.
I think
the bigger issue right now is all the banks and all these other companies going out of business.
Well, that's a very good point.
I mean, we had bank earnings come out for the last couple of days, and they've all been bombing except for Citi, which is to be expected because again, now we go into the longer effects of there's the car loans people are defaulting on. There's mortgage rates are going up, so less people are buying mortgages and such. So now bank profits are going down. Oh, woe is them.
I know. I mean, I held JP Morgan for 2 years during the recession there. It went up about 80%. My stock did. Now I got out of it in November of last year because I was like, at some point the good times are going to end. Like we've talked about that a lot. So got out at a good time, but now the reckoning's here. Exactly like you said. You look at the average car payment a month has never been higher.
Geez, I mean, the fact that they're pushing for 8-year car loan terms.
Oh, I know. I mean, that wasn't even an option before.
No, you're bordering on a mortgage at this point.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, should I get a car?
They looked at you weird if you wanted 6 like 2 years ago.
I remember it's like, 5. Oh, they started coming out with the 6-year. I was like, that's pushing a little bit much. Then it was, okay, not just 72 months. Let's actually extend it out a little bit. Then it was 80 months. And like, we're talking about 8 years for a car that's going to last you probably 4 years.
It depreciates so much during that time.
Exactly. And the moment you drive out of the lot, I mean, but again, now we have the issue of people were going into all these car payments because the used car value was going up so much that they were willing to take on these loans. Well, now when everything starts coming back down, you're going to see a lot of people.
Ladies and gentlemen, do not make your car payment an Allen Iverson Reebok deal. Okay. And just to give you an idea of what that was, Allen Iverson and Reebok, the company. Yes, I'm talking about the Allen Iverson that played in the 90s. Okay. He took $800,000 a year from them, and it was like a 30-year deal. So they're still paying him out. And on his, I think his 45th or 50th birthday, they owe him like $32 million up front or some absorbent amount of money. So just don't do that. You don't want to be paying on this car forever. Yeah. And God, what if you total it? Yeah. You get in a wreck and you're still paying on it like 3 years after that. Like, you don't set yourself up for that.
Yeah. Okay. No, I mean, the projection, and this is where I was going with that, is people are expecting there to be, I mean, we've been talking about a real estate bubble like we had in 2008, and most people are saying, no, that's not going to happen with real estate, but it might happen with auto loans.
Yeah. Well, let's get to real estate in a second. You're jumping a tad bit ahead because we're going to get to earnings report on Blackrock. And that's going to have something to do with it. But
well, to put a bow on that, I was just saying that, like you said, don't take out a mortgage on your car.
Yeah. No, seriously, don't. So here's a good thing about inflation. America sucks right now with inflation. We just suck less than everybody else.
We don't suck as much or as well as bad. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a
context is very important to that.
It is. It's hugely important. But yeah, I mean, look at, we just had, and this is where you're gearing with that.
You want a vacuum to suck well.
The Hoover. But I mean, we talked about in the last podcast about the fact that inflation in other countries has been higher than ours. So although we're not doing great, we're doing better than they are. So by comparison, we're doing better. I mean, and one of the latest news is the dollar and euro parity. For the first time, I think ever, that we actually broke the dollar parity where the euro was worth less than the US dollar.
Yeah. I remember in college, like that was one of the knocks, like that I never went to Europe. I would go to like South America or something like that for any kind of vacation because it was too expensive. Our money didn't go very far. And I was a broke ass college student. So it was like, well, I could go to London and like not afford anything basically and just walk around and see stuff. Or I could go to Mexico and have a damn good time. Yeah. So never went to Europe that way. So guess what, guys? Cheap trips to Europe. Get it while it's hot.
Yeah. All right. And then I'm going to correct myself. It's not the first time ever, but it's the first time in a very long time that it's done it.
Okay. Yeah. So, last financial crisis or something. It was close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a big one was in 2001, September 11th, 2001. We all remember what happened back then. Yeah. There was a huge disconnect there too. But point is, we're entering new historic times because of that.
And even countries, I mean, you were talking about this earlier, like Chile, right? Yeah. That have traditionally been pretty stable. They're struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Chile, again, their inflation has gone up drastically, and now the Chilean peso is, I mean, it's on sale. We could actually, I think it was at 999 pesos per the dollar, where usually we're looking at about 600 to 700. So it's
that's like a 30% swing or something right there.
In a matter of weeks to months, which, man, I love Chile. I've been there. I traveled. I worked there. And a lot of people that I know for years were saying that would be a great place to retire because of its stability. And even they are looking at a massive volatility in their economy.
Yeah, it's true. One fun fact about Chile, like just kudos to the guy who drew the map out to South America because they just robbed like 4 different countries of
the coastline,
and like beaches. They said, yeah, we'll just take all this. And the idiots like agreed to it. So
it's like, oh, you want to swim? You got to go through us.
Yeah. So kudos to whoever drew that map up. All right. So we have some big earnings reports that are coming up in the next couple days. One happening today, which is Blackrock. This is going to be very interesting because Blackrock notoriously has been scooping up a lot of housing.
Real estate,
a lot of real estate. And we've heard that they have actually been slowing and in some cases even stopping all purchasing, which is kind of crazy because it's like you thought that would have happened a while ago with prices at an all-time high, but they just continue to gobble it up. And I don't know, tell me what you think about this. One of the interesting theories I heard about why housing prices, while the cost of them may slow, an interesting thought that I heard was that with all these private equity firms buying up, residential homes, is that in order to get their money back, they're going to hold it for 10 years.
Yep.
So therefore, those are all houses that are guaranteed not to go back on the market for 10 years. So that means, the normal, if you live in a house 3, 4, 5 years, that's just a lot less supply that will ever hit the market over the next decade.
Yep.
And that will artificially keep prices up. What do you think about that in general?
So if you take it in isolation, if you take that fact by itself, 100% agree. And that's one of the primary drivers, along with, supply and demand of housing, that people are saying we're not going to enter a bubble burst like we did in 2008 because, loans have changed, all these things have changed, and a lot of the real estate's being bought up by these banks. 100% agree with that. Yes. And that could potentially keep the value up. The one variable that's not accounting for is complete economic collapse. True. So look at these banks, look at JP Morgan, look at Wells Fargo, look at all the ones that had earnings releases recently that missed horribly. Well, if they now have to reorganize, or if they go bankrupt, they now have to give up these assets. Yep, that's true. So all these holdings, it depends on how leveraged they are. So BlackRock, I'm sure that they've got billions of dollars, but let's go under the assumption, tinfoil hat moment for a second and say, what if they are over leveraged? What if they bought all this real estate and they are leveraged with loans that they took from other brokerages, other banks? Now these brokerages and other banks need to call in.
Well, that's essentially what happened in Zillow.
Yeah.
And then Zillow was doing the exact same thing, trying to take it out of BlackRock's playbook, scooping up their houses, and then they got overly leveraged. Their stock tanked dramatically because they're not an investment firm. Zillow is a technology company, and they took a beating.
So what if now, let's say you have a Zillow or a BlackRock, and again, complete hypothetical. Let's jump forward 6 months to a year from now when the economy is still bottoming out and we're still not in a good spot. Stocks are going down, everything's going down, valuations are all going down. Now they have to release all these assets. Well, they're going to have to do them at the cheapest that they can so people scoop them up. Well, now everyone else that is trying to compete in that market, you're going to see a complete reversal of that pricing, and you're going to see a massive drop in real estate.
No, that's true. That could happen. In a microcosm, like I said, of what happened at Zillow, I read this story of a guy. So Zillow's a tech company.
This is the story of a guy.
So he sold his house to Zillow.
Yep.
And then Zillow got margin called like 3 months later.
And
they called him and said, will you buy your house back for $100,000 less than what he sold it to? So he got his house back after making $100,000.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Like the kind of position. Yeah, good for him. Probably happened to a lot of other people too. But the point is, that could happen in that scenario. So it's an interesting thing. If you're somebody who likes to flip houses, you probably don't have to worry about that as much. But if you're somebody who's like, I'm buying a home for the next 3 to 5 years and I'm hoping that it will appreciate, that's the risk that you're taking.
Correct.
Basically.
And if there's one thing to get out of all of this, and this is a very critical point, it's I will never give a simple response. You can't ask do you agree or disagree?
There is nothing simple about anything we talk about, unfortunately, anymore. So that's that. So BlackRock is coming out today. That'll be very interesting to see what happens. Has not yet at the time of this recording. So sorry, guys. We'll have to update you next week. But some other ones that are coming out at the end of July. You've got Microsoft, Google on the 26th. Meta, a.k.a. formerly Facebook, on the 27th. I really wonder if Zuck's regretting that name change. He may have jumped the gun a little too quickly, too heavily on the metaverse, but we'll see. And then Apple is coming out on the 28th. So considering these are, some of the biggest stocks out there, big market drivers taking up the majority of the NASDAQ, different things like that, whether or not this inflation data is going to continue to hurt them is going to be really interesting.
And speaking of the Google. Remember that there is the stock split. that occurs today.
Oh, that's today. Good point.
Today, yes.
So
after
Google
markets close
is
today.
not a Amazon Prime Day sale, ladies and gentlemen. No, it is just a split. So what does that mean? We've talked about this before. We'll say it again real quick. The stock did not get cheaper. The stock is not a better buy
the value of it
today
didn't get
than it
cheaper.
was yesterday.
Yes, but it is now more accessible to more people once it splits. So a very, very brief investment lesson here, because we're never going to give you investment advice, just entertain you hopefully, but we can give you lessons. And it's the classic question I get from a lot of people I know. It's, well, there's a stock split, especially with Google, with GameStop when they were talking about the split. I'm like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean for me? How can I make more money? Well, now what happens is if you look at Alphabet or Google, it's $2,000 per share. I mean, you could do a fractional share or you could try to buy a share and it's $2,000. Well, if it splits, let's say 10 to 1, well, now it becomes a lot more affordable because you could now buy 10 shares for the money that you would have bought one share before. So you are now able to afford more. So with more people able to afford it, it could potentially go up because more people are going to want to buy the stock.
Exactly. But if you have $2,200 right now, and let's say there's a 10 to 1 split, and you could buy one share today or you could buy 10 shares tomorrow, guess what? It's the same amount of money. It amazes me how confusing this is to people sometimes because they're like, well, I could buy this stock or I could buy 10 of these stocks, you know, or 10 of this particular stock. And I'm like, it doesn't matter if you think they're equally as good if you get one stock or 10 stock of one company. It's the same amount of money.
Correct. So, but I mean, let's use the actual example. Google's doing a 20 for 1 stock split.
Okay, so they're doing a 20 for 1.
So now each share is going to be $110, but if you held one share, you now own 20 shares. But again, this is where classically when there's a stock split, the stock does tend to go up in most companies, and it's because now you are accessible to more people.
Yes.
So now more people are going to say, oh, I've always wanted to buy Google, but I've only had $300 to invest. Well, now you could actually afford 3 shares.
So normally you'll see a little bit of a bump on it, but again, it's essentially, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. So
it really doesn't.
To the question of, you know, can I use this to make more money? The answer very simply is it depends.
Yeah.
Do your research, see what you want to do. If it's a stock that you
guys
truly
thought
believe
he was
in,
finally going to give you a simple answer.
Never. It's not going to happen. I mean, for me, I always consider,
Let's put it this way. Is it a good opportunity? Yes, it is if you are somebody who's always wanted to buy Google.
Correct.
But you only had $500 a month to invest and you were like, well, I just want to invest it on a monthly basis, and that was out of your reach. Well, then, yeah, great. Yeah. Now you can buy 5 shares of Google, or I'm sorry, 50 shares. Or wait, what did you say? What were we
20.
Saying was going to split to? 21 split. Whatever. You can buy a couple shares. You can still
buy 50. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. You can still buy a few with $500 a month. If that's the case, you really like the company, you think it's got a good future ahead of it, and then the stock price will go up, you've done your homework, then sure, it's a great time to get in for you because now it's more accessible.
Yeah, and now things to keep in mind, again, in a normal market, it could be an opportunity. This is why you have to do your research.
Right.
Amazon had a split a short while back, and I said, you know what, I'm going to throw some cash at it because I had some extra cash, and classically, when there's a split, it tends to bump up, and it did. It bumped up probably like 8%, and then 2 weeks later, it went way back down. So overall,
you want to know why? Because the smart money said this company ain't worth that right now, or we're going to take the retail bump from all you losers out there, and we'll take our profits and buy them later.
Or there's also the aspect that the stock market as a whole has been collapsing. So you have to
smart money took their money.
You have to measure the market. So again, let's say the Google split might go up slightly, but if the stock market is still going down, well, do you want to buy now, or do you want to wait and dollar cost average, or do you want to, let's wait 2 months and buy in when the market is down completely?
You compare that chart to anything else, nothing else goes up. All right. So we want to talk a little bit about something about from a behavior perspective when it comes to making more money. This is a report that just came out from the Wall Street Journal recently, and we have a resident expert on being an immigrant.
You could even say a resident alien, because that's what my green card says.
Look, according to Demi Lovato, we're not even supposed to call actual aliens because it's offensive. I think they're
to whom? To Demi Lovato?
They're non-Earth persons or something like that.
The issue there is she doesn't know what the definition of alien is. We don't mean, alien doesn't mean extraterrestrial. Alien means unknown.
She was talking about extraterrestrials, though,
I know.
for the record.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, we all know she's a highly intelligent individual.
Yes, with no emotional scarring whatsoever.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. So this report came out about how, or it's called "Why So Many Children of Immigrants Rise to the Top." And I'm not going to lie, the graphic that they have in here is extremely cool. There's a whole bunch of like people, some are blue, some are orange,
climbing stairs,
and they're climbing stairs and little graphics.
Now, things to keep in mind here. Steven is more in love with the graphic than he is with the facts of the actual article.
Things. This is fun.
You get to watch the children go up and down the stairs, up and down, up and down.
Satisfying. Yeah. But yes, but the point is this, ladies and gentlemen, we
could tell
actually have somebody
yesterday.
who can talk about this because guess what? No, it's not me, Steven Corson. That was actually the immigrant, believe it or not.
And actually, wonderful part of that statistic, it's specific to children born between 1978 and 1983, of which I fall right into that.
Children of immigrant men born in that time. Read the statistic properly.
Yeah.
I know you don't have your glasses.
No. The figures represent people born between 1978 and 1983.
Right. The green are the children of immigrant men.
Correct. But
okay,
we're
we
talking
said
about the
same
years.
thing. My bad. Okay,
I'm talking about the years.
You're talking about the years.
Steven's still hungover from his birthday. All I am saying is I was born in 1983, so I am representative
So he's
of the
literally
data.
this exact data point.
Yes.
So the reason we want to talk about this quickly is because I'm going to give you the brief breakdown of what this data set is saying. So at the end of it, when you look at the poor, lower, middle, upper classes, and then what they would consider rich, children of immigrants, 15% of them end up rich. Children of U.S. born citizens, 9% end up rich. That's like a 70-ish% swing.
Yeah.
So what is it about children of immigrants that, especially when we consider the fact that most of them are coming from poorer places than the children of the U.S. born, right?
Yep.
What is it about them that is giving them such an advantage to where they have a 70% chance more likely to end up in the highest echelon of moneymakers compared to people who were born here and maybe not as bad off? Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about that.
We're just better. That's it. That's short, sweet. We are better than you.
Elon Musk, Gary Vee. These are some very
Marlon
outspoken. Marlon Martinez. These are some very outspoken big ones.
My opinion on the matter is it's multi-pronged. Again, it's not a simple answer. It's multiple things. And it's funny because you and I had a discussion briefly before this started on, it could be something as simple as delayed gratification, which I think that's huge. But as I'm talking about it, I'm thinking there's so many other aspects, one of which, and I'm going back to conversations that I had with my parents, we grew up with them telling us we came to America to give you a better future.
So it was purpose.
Yeah. You start off with a purpose. Most of these immigrant families come into the US because they saw themselves tapped out in their other countries, or there was no opportunity. And that's why the US is the land of opportunity. I came from Cuba, and in Cuba, communist nation, socialist, whatever you want to call it, you're given what you're given. It's like you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. That was our upbringing. It's like you cannot really strive for more legally because everyone is equal. Well, if you wanted to actually
risk a firing squad or massive jail time for trying to do even basic stuff that we would consider here in America.
If you wanted to thrive, you had to do it elsewhere. So again, moved over to the States, and then growing up here.
And when we talk about poor, just real quick, give context. Because I grew up lower middle class here in America, and it was kingly compared to what you did. Tell me about the food that you were eating real quick.
Or the food I wasn't. I mean, we wished we were eating. Yeah.
Well, it's a very short list of what you were eating, which is why I'd like to clarify. Let's talk about the level of poverty we're going to here.
I mean, we're talking about literally waiting in line for hours to get a bottle of milk. And by bottle, I mean a small bottle that would feed a family of 4 here for half a day. It would have to last us weeks in Cuba. And then getting to the front of the line and being told, oh, actually, we're out. So then now you guys have to scrounge and barter and figure out who got milk, who didn't. Or saying, okay, well, we're going to go to the commissary and we get, 1 leg of chicken. And, well, is that enough to feed your children? Well, no. Now my mom and dad have to be hungry because we want the children to eat, or everyone starves equally. And you had zero guarantee, as much as it's like everyone's equal, whether you got fed or not. I remember getting to the United States and our family taking us to, or the family that picks up from the airport and everything, because we didn't come on a raft. Surprise for a lot of you out there. We actually flew legally. We had visas and everything, and they took us to a supermarket. And I remember,
mind blowing.
Yeah, it was. I have a clear recollection because again, the markets in Cuba growing up were the equivalent of a corner store here, and that was the most food you'd see ever. Here, we went to a supermarket, and I just remember walking in and being like, what is this place? I had no concept of what it could even be. And they're like, oh, it's a supermarket. I was like, but there's food everywhere. People are getting it and putting it in carts. And then they walked us super. And then they walked us to a candy aisle. I mean, we had no candy in Cuba. Like we had people, because we were given, you were given a certain amount of sugar, and there was one person in our neighborhood that would save up the sugar, and people would give them the sugar so they could melt it and make candy for the neighborhood kids. And that was once every 6 months to a year. That was the candy we had. To now see that there was a candy aisle, I was like, oh my God. Like I literally broke down crying. Like I'm actually getting emotional right now remembering that. Like
I can see it, man.
It was incredible, like that memory. But point is, that's poverty. That's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like when you have that sense of just pretty much nothingness, right? And then you come here. This is why, I mean, Pitbull, I just saw this video just recently came out, and he was on stage doing a concert, and he said, listen, for all of those of you who hate America, because it's kind of popular right now to post it on, I'm renouncing my citizenship. The guy from Green Day recently just did it. I laughed. I was like, okay, whatever, dude. But it's just like all these people, when that's like the popular thing. When things don't go your way in this country anymore from a political standpoint,
it's the land of the quitters.
That's it. They're like, oh, well, whatever, I'm renouncing my citizenship. That's why the loudest voices that are laughing at these people are immigrants.
Yeah.
Because they're like, clearly you've never done anywhere. So what Pitbull did, he came out on stage and he goes, listen, to those of you who say, screw America, I don't want to be here. He's like, God bless you. And then he said, but let me tell you something, as somebody who's lived somewhere else, he was like, screw you, because you do not understand what it is that you're talking about.
Honestly, think about not to get into the whole, entitlement mentality of generations and all that stuff.
But it's part of it.
Yeah.
And some
think
of
about the fact that you could even say, you know what, I'm going to give up my citizenship and move elsewhere. Like
that's one of the most entitled things you could say.
Like the fact that I don't think most people understand that in most countries, it's a process. It's a long,
even possible.
Yeah. I mean, to get here to the United States, the reason most Cubans come through rafts and boats and risk their lives with shark-infested waters to get here. Same thing with Haitians and a lot of these other countries.
They just found, what was it, 40 people dead in a semi-truck or something in Texas? You want to renounce your U.S. citizenship, you got to file some paperwork.
Yeah, that's it. You don't have to risk your life to do it. So the fact that it's that easy to do, again, I hesitate to say this almost because we are in some shitty times politically, but we are in a great country because of that.
Absolutely.
Because we have opportunity, we have choices, we have options.
And we have the ability to change that through voting.
That's arguable.
I know that's a different thing, but the reality is, well, it's not just voting. It's the fact that it doesn't matter if the elections are rigged or not. Guess what? You get 8 years max. Yeah. Okay. You could do some damage during that. Sure. But it can be corrected.
Correct.
Versus if you get somebody crappy in there and then they just say, yeah, I'm going to hang out for the next 30, 40 years.
Yeah. So Tootsie rolling back into the whole, the reason why.
How does this make you make money?
Yeah.
Give us
the simplest
2-3 quick tips.
Yeah. How do you make more money from this is move out of the country and then move back in as an immigrant and have kids and they'll be rich.
That's it. Yeah. That's all you got to do.
Well, no, I mean, on a serious note, it's embrace the mentality of lack of complacency. Again, like the one thing that I grew up with was we came here for a better future, not we came here just to survive. We came here to be the same. It's like, no. Embrace the mentality of you were meant for more. You were meant to do great things. And if you have that mentality, you're going to strive for more. You're going to do better. And part of that inherently is delayed gratification.
Yep.
It's I am not going to go for the candy bar now. I'm not going to go for the shiny penny now, because I know that I am meant for more. So if I delay that a little bit, I will accomplish so much more in 5 to 10 years. I mean, Tony Robbins, he said this once, and I was like, as much as I have issues with some things he's said and done, but this was 100% accurate. He goes, people will often overestimate what they will do in a year, but underestimate grossly what they can do in 10.
That's right.
And that's because we are the land of instant gratification. And you're like, I want to be a millionaire now. Well, it's not going to happen right now. But if you delay that gratification and bust your butt, you can be in 5 years. You can be in 10 years. Just plan for that longevity. It's the buy and hold strategy versus the trade off now.
We wonder why crypto had its tulip moment before there was any, legitimate adoptions on 99.9% of these tokens and coins, right? Because of exactly that. It was a chance to get rich super quick.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was great. And we'll probably talk a little bit more about that in other areas because mentality, mindset, these are actually the things, we talk about this all the time. We could teach you to become a millionaire in about 20 to 30 minutes.
Absolutely.
Probably multiple different ways.
Money and finances are simple.
Exactly. So why isn't everyone a millionaire if that information is so readily available? Because it's about behavior. It's about mentality.
Discipline, behavior, mentality.
That's it.
Yeah, that mindset is the key there. Again, finances and money are simple. They're not easy because the easy versus difficult is the mindset. But it's simple because it's not complicated. We just make it hard because of lack of discipline or lack of mindset.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. So jumping into crypto, speaking of crypto, like I said, get rich quick. You could have got rich quick if you had bought MATIC a couple weeks ago when it was at its bottom at 32 cents.
Yep.
So despite, MATIC is actually a token that I have holdings in. I have been big on this one for a while. I love the roadmap. It is a second layer on the Ethereum blockchain. And one of the things that they came out with recently that caused it to jump real big is that they did a deal with Disney, kind of a big name.
Yeah.
So,
I've heard of them once or twice.
They do some stuff. So I think, like we said, just seconds ago, kind of joking about it, but it's serious. It's like, there's a lot of these, or we said this in a recent episode, 99% of the 20,000 tokens that are listed, as crypto right now, they're completely worthless. They're never going to do anything. The goal right now is to find the 100 to 150 that are going to make it.
The unicorns.
The unicorns, because again, we're going to look back on this in 5 to 10 years, and this is going to be identical to the 2000 tech bubble.
Oh, absolutely.
And all of these companies will just go completely by the wayside, and then you're going to have your Google.
Yeah, the whole .com bubbles, the pet.com, all these things that went out the way. It's, again, back then, everyone was throwing money at it because everything was internet-based.
Yep.
But there was zero functionality. You were buying all these random domain names, and it burst because, again, there was no functionality. But is the internet gone?
Nope.
No. Now the internet, the whole world revolves around the internet.
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah. But it's what survived the franchise wars, so to speak. What survived
it's true.
the .com bubble burst. So that's exactly where we're at with crypto right now. That's where we're at with NFTs. That's where we're at with all sorts of blockchain technology.
Yeah, and one of the things,
in my opinion,
one of the things that I'm looking for when I'm investing in crypto, and granted, I am holding a whole bunch right now because there's still a lot to remain, to be vetted out, to be seen just from a macroeconomic perspective before I want to jump into anything. But the reality is this. What I'm looking for, the reason I held my holdings in MATIC versus selling it is the fact that I believe in the technology. So I don't really give a damn about the price right now because I'm looking at this from I think this is one that can make it in the next 5 to 10 years. Now, I could be completely wrong, but
probably are.
I'm literally putting my money where my mouth is on this one, and I'm saying I think this is one of them. Yep. I really do. So that's why I'm not sweating it too hard. Sure, I'm down a little bit. I actually got it at a pretty good price, so that helps. But in general, I look at it and I go, I'm not worried because stuff like this, when I see they're doing big deals with big companies, I go, yeah, I think there's going to be more of those because I think it's a legitimate technology company.
I'm holding on to my 100 MATIC coins.
There you go.
Which are worth like $30 right now.
I was going to say, hey, you know what? Maybe you should go crazy and double that.
Oh, that's a tough one. You know what? I'll do it. I'll double down. I will buy another 100 coins and dollar cost average down.
Hey, I like it. And then we're going to wrap this up with some more fun news. Why don't you tell them what happened to Celsius?
Gone.
Bye-bye.
It's gone. Gone, baby, gone. They they just listed that they were trying to recover and reorganize and all these. But they have 1.5 billion with a B in losses, and now they sent out a notice to all of their holders saying, well, we might give you some money back if if we got anything left over. So yeah, that's another one bites the dust.
Yeah.
And again, you know what? It's going to happen. You're going to see more. It's going to get worse before it gets better. It'll be interesting to see who survives that one.
Yeah. So. It's one of those where, let's put it this way. The best you could probably hope for if you had holdings in there, I'd say 25 to 35% of your holdings you might get back. Depends on what they get out of this 3AC stuff. And then if you get 25 to 35% of that back, it's going to be yours. So just consider it gone. If a check comes in the mail from the lawsuit, then
gone, baby,
congratulations.
Gone.
But that's pretty much about it. So, again, we know it's a little bit of a down note, but the optimistic side of me says that we kind of needed this.
Yes.
We set when I say we, I mean the crypto community in general.
Consolidation. We needed it all.
We set this up. We had our moment to be like, we can decentralize, we can run our own, keep the governments out of it. And guess what? We blew it. Okay. We absolutely blew it. The crypto community, all of these founders like Do Kwon, that's going to end up in jail. All these other dudes, that were out here doing this stuff, and ladies. Let's not forget the ladies. When I say dudes, I'm including the dudettes.
And this, okay, I'm gonna digress for a second because we never do this. But dude is an all-encompassing term. I don't think dude is supposed to be just for guy dudes.
I'm just doing it for the woke folks out there.
I think that's dude is the perfect non-binary term. You don't need a dudette. It's just a dude.
I would totally agree with that.
Bro is masculine, feminine, all that, like bro, sis. But dude, I think, anyone could be a dude. My 3-year-old daughter calls me and my wife dude on occasion. We don't, normally it's papa and mama, but she got into dude mode. And most importantly,
dude mode.
Most importantly, it was on Bluey. So I think it's embraceable.
Well, he's Australian, so that's different. Yeah. Well, I was thinking about the dad, but yeah, whatever. I associate with the dad more. Bandit, what's his name?
Bandit. Yeah. I mean, of course, Bandit is the epitome
Bandit
of
is
a father.
the goat of a father.
Yeah.
I hate him for it because I'm like, I can't live up to this cartoon dog standard.
Like, I mean, and with his, I don't know how he gets the energy and all with his dad bod that he's got. I mean, it's whatever. All right, so we're done.
We're done, guys. We're wrapping it up. When we get on to obscure kid shows, that is the time to wrap it up. So thanks. Hope you learned a lot this weekend
or something. Yeah,
and I'll post my address in the show notes if anybody wants to send me a birthday
cards
card
or all that fun stuff, and flowers. He loves flowers.
Money.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again, and we will see you next week.
Adios.